Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Severance, Season 1 of the new Apple TV Plus show has ended, and I'm talking about it. It was a crazy show. Crazy show. Apple TV Plus has been coming out with a bunch of amazing TV shows from different types of, like, different vibes too. You got Ted Lasso on the positive tip. You got For All Mankind, a kind of sci-fi epic type of a show. And then you have this show, Severance. A lot of episodes directed by Ben Stiller. Very much a kind of a sci-fi Black Mirror type of a show. Starring Adam Scott. You have Zach Cherry, who I enjoy in a lot of stuff. Britt Lower. And so many other great actors. John Turturro is amazing. Just like seeing John Turturro in this show is such a reminder of how great of an actor he is. You also have Christopher Walken plays like a small part. Overall, a great show. Kind of a show about a big theme of the show is the quote-unquote work-life balance, where there's this company called Lumen who has this new procedure called Severance, which will allow you... I'm going to spoil. I'm going to spoil the premise of this. If you haven't watched the first episode of Severance, it does a good job. This show does a great job to, like, slowly roll out information. It is very much a show with a lot of questions, very much a giant mystery as to what's going on, what the purpose is, and in the first episode, you are slowly introduced to this world and the rules within this world. So I don't want to spoil anybody who hasn't gone to see it. I highly recommend sign up for Apple TV Plus for a trial version. Binge this show. Binge 2 seasons of Ted Lasso. Binge 2 seasons of For All Mankind. You will not regret any minute. That's like some of the best TV made in general, and a crazy kind of batting average, to use a sports reference, for Apple TV Plus. So I highly recommend people checking it out. So the first episode, you're given this information slowly about what's going on. And what's going on is that this company, Lumen, has this procedure where a person, an employee, can choose to be severed. And what that means is you take your consciousness and you split it. You divide that consciousness to your work person and your outside of work person, right? Your real life person. And that is your work-life balance. And the world that they call innies, the people that are inside of Lumen that exist to only work at Lumen, only are conscious of their time in Lumen. They don't have any memories of the outside world when they're severed. So if they have families, they don't know. If they have spouses, they don't know. They have zero idea of what their life is like outside of work. And vice versa, when you're outside of Lumen and you're in your Audi, when you're the Audi, you don't know at all what happened inside work. And they are completely separated as if you are two separate people. In this show, they are even referenced. There's a character that references their Audi versus innie as a sister. It feels like it's more of a sister than it is anything, because you are so detached from it. But what this show illustrates in such a beautiful way, because of the way that's set up, is how insane it is that people will trade their existence on this world to spend the majority of that time working for a company that does not care at all about them. The majority of companies and corporations that exist in this world do not care whatsoever about the people that populate it. They do not. They are sometimes forced to care by offering them things like medical coverage and things like that, and a certain type of pay structure, and to have a safe work environment. There are things that they are forced to do to take care of people because of the government and because of unions and things like that. But the reality of this show is so, like, it is so much like being an innie is like a living hell, and your outie has so little time to experience life, because when you're an outie, part of the thing you got to do is sleep, right? No job is paying for your sleep, although they probably should, right? You should get an extra cut for, like, your job should pay for half of your time sleeping. Since that's like a necessary aspect of human life, is to shut your brain off and shut your body off for 8 hours a day. So you're outie, you get a little bit of time after work to probably drink, because you don't know, you have zero, you're stuck with whatever trauma you're stuck with. The reasons why you drink, you're still doing it. It's not necessarily because of your thing, if that's the type of person you are, which our lead character, Adam Scott, is somebody who's going through some stuff, is one of the mysteries we don't really know about. His character's name is Mark, but he drinks when he's outside of work, so you know that he's gone through some stuff. Maybe the reason why he signed up for Severance is because of that, but or we find out exactly why. But you don't know. It's just that this show is so good at asking a bunch of questions and then slowly giving you paths to answers. And by the end of the season, some things are answered, some things are definitely not. There's a lot of questions, like the overarching, what is Lumen? What does Lumen do? Is a big thing. What is their end game? Which makes sense that you wouldn't answer such a big question at the end of a first season. But it does answer a good enough amount of things. But yeah, also the look of this show is amazing. A lot of the, like I said, a lot of the episodes were directed by Ben Stiller. I don't know if he's the one that set the tone for the aesthetic of this show, but it has like a very, especially when they're inside their job, the actual office spaces of Lumen, it's very minimal, like wide open, empty spaces, but also has a very surreal feel to it. Like the department that Adam Scott's character Mark works in with Dylan, who's played by Zach Cherry, also John Turturro, who plays Irving, and then their new recruit, Helly, who is the person that the audience is. It's kind of in a lot of ways, Helly is the audience surrogate, because she, in the first episode, is a new employee, newly severed, and we're seeing her orientation and integration into this company. And that's kind of how, as an audience member, you're shown and you're given answers to certain things that are very weird, very surreal. And now a quick word from our sponsor. Now you can wear the many faces. Original art by Ray Taylor. Select pieces from the ongoing series of abstract ink paintings. All products made with high quality materials, made right here in the USA. Go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch to browse the entire collection and save yourself an extra 10% when you check out by using coupon code RTSTMF. So once again, go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF merch and save 10% when you use coupon code RTSTMF. And now back to our show. But they have like this entire, the place where the room they work is huge, but all of their desks are still clumped together in a little like almost like a swastika of cubicles desks, which is crazy. Like, it's almost like visually it could almost be like a satirical, like spoof type of a movie or show, but it is played serious. Like everything is played, like I said, Black Mirror. Think Black Mirror type of a tone, but beautiful. Like still, like because of its minimalism, the way it's shot, very surreal, very minimal. I love it. it starts off Petey. There's this guy Petey who was fired, so Helly is coming in to kind of be the new person. Mark is being promoted to fill the position of Petey, who was kind of like the office manager, and he's in charge of introducing and orientating Helly into this new experience. And it's crazy. Like, for instance, when she is part of this job, she's like, she wants to quit. She doesn't like it. So they're like, yeah, sure, you can quit. And they take her. And then that's where, as an audience, you realize that when she leaves this certain area, whether it's in an elevator or the stairwell, she reverts to being an outie. Like, her brain switches to where she becomes an outie. And when she leaves the door, she is now the outie, and she's like, what am I doing out here? I guess my innie doesn't want to work, so we're going to have to, like, convince her. So then she goes back in. And it's this crazy back and forth that happens where you're seeing existence being told through the different perspectives of the same person going through this different reality. Like, even explaining it makes me feel like I'm about to have a stroke. But Helly's the new one. She's kind of the in a lot of ways the audience surrogate. But we still don't know what, like, even their work that they do. They're all sitting in these, like, compacted cubicles, staring at, like, these old school computer monitors that you would see in, like, the 80s, you know, where they have just a monochrome screen on it, black screen. You know, I don't know if it's white text or green text, but it's that old school early computer style. And they have just these, like, random numbers that are jiggling, like they held their finger down on the iPhone and all the icons start jiggling. You have all these numbers that jiggle, and as the cursor goes over them, they kind of bubble to the surface. And there's some, like, ominous thing where they're supposed to feel when these numbers are make you feel a certain way, and you're supposed to trap all those numbers into these containers. And if they do all of those things, then they're successful, and they're rewarded with these wacky things that would be rewards a giant corporation would give people, thinking that they are proper incentives for people to work, like finger traps or like having a waffle dinner, like kind of just crazy, like sad, like kind of like so extremely sad, how people, like, the smallest things that people will feed on to be incentivized to keep doing, like, mindless, like literally mindless work. There's the board, who is like this faceless, voiceless entity that never really communicates through a person, right? There's a person that has a Bluetooth that kind of relays a lot of the things that the board has to say to communicate to its managing staff. And a lot of the times they're just on, like, a speakerphone listening, so you never hear anything. It is like every aspect of this is so, like, odd and different and weird, and like and even the Lumen itself has, like, a very cult-like structure to it. Like even one of the managers has, like, an altar to like the main guy that started Lumen. There's all these kinds of, like, ideas of what they do and how they've been around for so long, and it has, like, a weird, like, religious cult kind of tone to it, but set in like with the look and aesthetic of a corporate entity. It's crazy. So you have these innies that they have questions because they don't know. Like, there's theories of what they're doing, they like wild theories of what they're doing. There's, like, these myths of stories that have happened between departments in Lumen, and, like, just long hallways that seem to go on forever, where lights just turn on when you're like underneath them. There's the break room which is this room where they brainwash you, they punish you if you do anything bad, and you go and you have to read like this super long statement, and you have to read it over and over again until it feels to them like you believe the statement, which for some people it takes thousands or hundreds to thousand times to say the statement before it's believed, it's just crazy. Just like so many things are just crazy and just like so unique and such big questions that like you can't not keep watching. You can't not keep watching. And also the characters are great, right? Even John Turturro's character Irving is like a gay dude who has this like love affair with Christopher Walken's character, who's in a different department. That they cross. Like Christopher Walken's character, his department is one of their jobs is to like hang these paintings in like certain areas. Like it's for the most part it's just like a corporate office building, blank walls, and then like in certain areas there'll be paintings hung up, and all of these paintings are like very similarly toned in a way. They all kind of have a similar feel to them. And that's kind of his job, is to kind of rotate these pieces of artwork throughout the building. That's like his job. And Irving has like he's got like, they're both older dudes, they have a connection, and it's like a sweet love story that's going on underneath like this crazy mystery sci-fi story that's also happening. But all the people inside, they're like struggling to find out. They like uncover maps, and they try to make maps to try and figure out what the structural, like, to see what's going on within Lumen. And they get to a point where they, at the end, when they find out like that shit's wrong, like they're starting to find out that things aren't really good for them in Lumen. Like before that, it's all like, oh, trying to uphold the corporate idea of what we should be doing. And then they find out that it's all bullshit. They're like slowly finding out more and more. And there's this scene where John Turturro's character comes in, and he's just pissed, right? This dude that he loves is retiring, and he's leaving, and he's like, fuck this. Let's burn this motherfucker down. I think it's like the second to the last episode, and it's like, oh shit. Like once all these characters kind of start to get together and come together to like find out what's happening and to take on this business on their own, it's like such an amazing moment. You're like, fuck yeah. Because it's similarly to like what's happening in the real world, where like all these businesses are taking advantage of people. You're wasting your life making barely enough money to survive, if at all. And you're giving your life to these companies that don't give a fuck about you. And you're seeing unions start to pop up everywhere. And you're seeing companies like Starbucks and Amazon trying to not allow people to unionize. And the show, in a lot of ways, shows the power of employees and workers coming together, and the strength that you have when you come together. But also you have this character in Helly that does not want to be there. Like throughout most of the season, she's trying to quit. To the point where even her outie makes a tape telling her that you will never quit. You belong to me. I am you. There's no way you're going to ever leave this place. Like, and that is the kind of hell that she puts herself in, because she's detached. She put herself into that situation to work. And then you find out later why she's there, and why also it is the most difficult for her to be integrated into this corporate structure. Is you find out that she is one of the children of the people that created Lumen. Like, she's the daughter of this godlike person or whatever. That at least that's the person they worship, their cult leader. Which is crazy. That's like, it's like one of the Trump kids getting a day job. Of course, they would never do it. First off, they would never, like, if this were the Trump family who created Lumen, like, you're never going to see Don Jr. decide to, actually, you probably would. You probably no, you wouldn't. They would never give up part of their time of the day for them to go to a place for 8 hours a day, for 40 hours a week. They're going to remove that time of day from their life. Like, they would never give up that. But if they were forced to, for some reason, they would not be able to survive. All these like privileged rich kids, if they were forced somehow to work in a corporate environment, to work a real day job, they would all kill themselves. They would all do that. And that is why when Helly does it, it's surprising when it happens in the episode, when she's like exhausted all of her attempts to try and quit this place legitimately, that she goes to the ultimate quitting of trying to kill herself. Like that, when you find out that she is this child of this wealthy, privileged kid, it makes sense that she would kill herself, because anybody that's not indoctrinated and grew up in like a corporate structure where you have to get a job and you have to work and you're constantly this employee that's being treated like shit, like it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And you don't see that until there's somebody that has an actual freedom, till somebody's actually free. You know, somebody that's got a ton of money, and where most of the confines and restraints of reality that exist for everybody else, like laws, like bills, and all those things, don't affect them at all. So for her to be forced in, it makes complete sense that she would try to kill herself. But it's also a character that you grow to love, because you agree with her, you sympathize with her, you see how much she doesn't want to be there. Because it would be hell. It would be hell, especially if you were conscious of how, like, the reality of that kind of living would be. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. And even seeing how the company like uses information and propaganda in order to make sure to maintain control. Like when people get hurt on the job, they make up stories and give them gift cards so their outie doesn't get suspicious or doesn't want to leave. But so much is good. The last episode was intense. Like, you have the episode before the last one when Irving, John Turturro's character, comes in. It's like, we're going to burn this motherfucker down. Like that last episode where they have their plan that they're going to execute, where they find out that like overtime is a thing, where they can wake up their outies in the real world and their innies can take over. They use that to their advantage in order to try and get the word out about what it's like in Lumen. So you have 3 of the 4 characters, right? You have John Turturro's character, Irving, you have Adam Scott's Mark, and you have Britt Lower's Helly, are all out in the world. And then Dylan, played by Zach Cherry, they meet their quota for the quarter or whatever, and he's given this like waffle dinner, which is a crazy scene anyway. Like, he's given these waffles and this like reproduction of the creator of Lumen's house, and then there's this weird like dancing that goes on with masks. It's a weird, very like tons of questions, but you understand their objective. and it's Dylan's job to turn on the overtime function to wake these innies up out in the real world. And you see all of their separate stories because they don't know who they are on the outside. So you see Mark wake up, and he doesn't know he has a sister that just gave birth. He doesn't know that she's married to this guy that wrote a book that he's been reading inside. Like, it's a crazy thing where he's like he should be in a place where he's super comfortable and knows where everything is, but he's out of sorts. You see John Turturro's character, Irving, waking up, realizing he's an artist who's been kind of painting the hallways of Lumen, these dark, ominous hallways that have like just the smidgen of light at the end of it. You have, and then Helly's character is when you find out that she's the daughter. She's basically the propaganda of Lumen to push whatever political narrative they need to get whatever, to expand this technology. And it's like, it's so disgusting. And you see all these pictures that have been taken throughout the show's season to be used as propaganda to show like how happy and joyous everybody is, which is the same thing you see in all corporations. When you see pamphlets of people working at Amazon, they're all smiling and happy. You see commercials, they're all yay, yay. People at Costco, yay. But then if you work at any of these companies, you see how you're really treated. You see how like nobody's smiling, nobody's like happy to be there. Some people are, but like for the most part, it's like it's soul crushing, and it's so crazy when you see her, because it's like they're all now out and trying to tell as many people. She's about to give a speech to all the people that are there who are going to be passing some legislation or whatever. It's crazy. The last episode, and then you see Mark's character. Mark is a character who recently went to was recently Severance, right? And because his wife died in a car accident. But then you find out that she's still alive, or maybe a version of her is still alive, because inside of Lumen there was a woman who was like the mental health person who would bring people into this tranquil room and read compliments about them and try to make them feel better. And that woman was his wife, and he doesn't realize that till he's out in the real world and he sees a picture of her, and he knows that she's alive. So it's like this thing that we thought throughout the whole season is wrong, that she's alive. And that's like, I think that's how the show ends. The season ends. It's like, she's alive, which we knew as the audience, but when we see him find out, we're like, oh shit. Like, how does that make sense? We also see Helly like get the opportunity to like actually tell people, but then, you know, nobody believes her. They think that she's just playing a joke. So it's like all of these things up in the air, like cliffhanger, don't know what's going to happen. But then season 2, hopefully, I hope there's multiple seasons. I don't know how they're going to keep going. Like, there's this whole goat issue. Like, on one of their walks through the hallways, they stumbled across this room that had baby goats in it that this guy was feeding. Just no explanation. There's a lot of things that are very questionable. Also, the people that are inside Severin, like you have Milchick, and you have, let's see, who was the other woman? Harmony Cobell. Is that it? Cobell? Yeah. Where they're working there, but they're not severed. So when like Cobell leaves, she has this alternate identity where she's Mark's neighbor and she's all nice, and she ends up being like a nanny for his sister. And it's like there's a lot of craziness that's happening, that a lot of questions that still need to be answered, I would say. But yeah, just a show that like on so many levels is speaking to so many things, which I appreciated completely. The acting is great in all of them. It's I really enjoyed the show. I wish season 2 was out. Like, season 2 was out right now, I probably would have binged it all already. But we're gonna have to wait. Also, Ben Stiller doing amazing work directing. He didn't direct all the episodes, but every episode beautiful. The way it's shot, just everything. The aesthetic of everything is great. I really enjoy the show, and Zach Cherry is like, I enjoy seeing Zach Cherry anytime he shows up. He's always like this side character and stuff. This probably being his biggest role. I really love seeing him in this, and him as Dylan is great. And that last episode was like, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, that last episode. But anyway, check it out. It is on Apple TV Plus. It's called Severance. Season 1 is currently out and available to watch in its entirety. And I am highly looking forward to Season 2. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at InspiredDisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at InspiredDisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.